So, are you looking to Viva the Bull? Good? Okay, here are 19 reasons to read Rose Madder. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave Musson at Dave Musson on Instagram, and this is the place where I'm going through all of the works of Stephen King in chronological order and giving you 19 reasons to read each book. If that sounds like something you'd want more of, then do check out the rest of my channel because there's loads of videos for you to explore. And if you're feeling generous, why not subscribe as well? Then you won't miss any in the future. In this video, we've reached 1995 and, in my opinion, one of King's boldest and bravest books, Rose Madder. Now, I love this one, but I know there are plenty of people out there who, well, don't. However, I think whatever sort of King reader you are, it is well worth reading. And in this video, I'm going to give you 19 reasons to do exactly that. Now, as we've been doing recently, I'm going to cluster any spoilery reasons towards the end of the list, and I'll give you fair warning when they're coming, so if you need to bail, you can bail. But other than that, let's get into it. Here are 19 reasons to read Rose Madder. Oh, and as a trigger warning, this book does deal with miscarriage and domestic abuse, so if that's not a good thing for you to be watching a video about right now, then please don't. So this book marks the end of King's run in the 90s of stories dealing with gender issues and domestic violence, following on from Gerald's Game, Dolores Claiborne, and quite large chunks of Insomnia. Rose Madder is the most brutal, the most visceral, and frankly the weirdest as well. Floyd, shut up. It manages to combine a fast-moving cat and mouse game with a ton of supernatural stuff as well. Now this one is intriguing because King himself ranks it fairly low down the list of his own work. He said it never really took off. But I would argue that this one just has a fine wine quality to it and holds up really well now. Perhaps King was just way ahead of his time. King has also said that a lot of people have told him that it was Rose Madder that gave them the push to finally leave an abusive partner. And there certainly is a strong sense of empowerment throughout this book. Maybe King's just being too harsh on it. I mean, it's not the Tommyknockers, is it? Thank fuck. Okay, let's jump into the hook of this one. So our main character, Rose Daniels, is in a marriage with the horrifically violent and abusive Norman Daniels, who at the start of the book beats her into a miscarriage. 9 years later, she suddenly decides to leave him, and she grabs his credit card, withdraws some cash, and gets on a bus to another city. However, Norman is not only a bad man, he's also a cop. He's also very good at hunting people down, and he is not going to let Rose get away. Rose, in the meantime, has taken refuge in a women's shelter and is slowly rebuilding her life, even though this crazy, scary, psychotic husband of hers is actually on the way to hunt her down. Now, as Norman gets closer, Rose ends up buying a magic painting. No, really, stick with it. And sooner or later, her old and new lives are going to come crashing into each other. But one of the biggest reasons to read this one is Rose herself. She's really Rosie, and she's Rosie real. It would have been so easy for this character to be this shy, shriveling thing, but she grows as the book goes on, and she's not without her own anger as well. She's a really compelling character. Second reason to read this one is that mad, bad man Norman. He is terrifying, he is relentless, he is quite possibly one of the most scary human villains King has ever written. He goes round biting, killing, popping testicles. He just doesn't stop. In fact, you could argue that at points Norman is too much, like a dessert with all of the chocolate things in at once and only one spoon for you to eat the whole thing. Now for me, that actually sucked me into the novel even more and just made me enjoy it further and further. But I get some of those points might not be for everyone, so just be aware he is very, very, very over the top. So one of my favourite parts of the story comes really early on, and it's actually the moment that finally pushes Rose to leave Norman. And what is that catalyst for her leaving a years-long abusive marriage? A single drop of blood that she sees while she's changing the bed sheets. It's a moment that feels really, really real. and it's very powerful. So I've mentioned the magical painting, and it does become a key part of the story, but we're not in spoiler zone yet, so I won't talk about it too much. What I will say is at the same time that she acquires that painting, she also lands a brand new career in the world of narrating audiobooks. As you do. It makes me feel like King had maybe just got into audiobooks himself while he was writing this. Okay, time to enter my old spoiler zone, so if you need to leave here, then take care and we'll see you soon. Okay, let's start with Norman, and wow, some of his scenes are grim. The moment where he literally bites a man to death to try and find the address of the refuge where Rosie has gone is, well, it's as brutal as it sounds. Like I said earlier, he is at times almost too much, and the violence that comes with him is often quite preposterous. This guy is a sexist, hooker killing, witness murdering, racist homophobe, and he's hunting you like a bull. So talking of bulls, when the magical painting does its thing and allows people to enter the world of the painting, as you would expect, obviously, Norman happens to basically turn into a bull minotaur thing because he just so happens to be wearing a bull mask when he enters the painting, as you do. Yeah, it's wild, just go with it. So the painting is probably the book's biggest weak spot, not because of all the magical weirdness, I can live with that, but it's actually more, you don't get a sense of what this painting looks like. We keep getting told that this painting, this amazing scene, and it's just completely captivating for Rosie. But for a writer like King, who is usually so good at well, painting visuals for us, we really never have an idea of what this painting is actually showing us. You kind of end up feeling a bit lost, and it's pretty frustrating. So this is a book that has a lot of women characters, and unusually for King, these women characters are actually pretty well rounded. They have proper arcs and agency and stories and all of that. Aside from the rather large martial arts teacher, Gert Kinshaw, these women are actually pretty well done. And even saying that about Gert, she does get to beat up Norman and piss on his face, which is quite fun. So there are some nice parallels to the early part of the story when Rose finally enters the world of the painting. In that painting, she is tasked by the woman in the painting, Dorcas or Rose Madder, to go and rescue her baby from this Minotaur. And obviously later on, we see Norm turn into the Minotaur. And of course, at the start, Rosie herself lost a baby because of Norm. It kind of takes you out of the realism of the novel for a bit, but actually, if you just go with it, it's alright. Another parallel is Dorcas or Rose Madder ultimately killing Norman by biting him to death. Car is a wheel and all that. Of course, we do have some connections to other King works. Let's start with the location in the painting which Rosie goes to. That is the town of Ludd, which is a key location in the Dark Tower series. The character Cynthia Smith, she with the quite awesome green and orange hair, is someone we will meet again in Desperation and The Regulators. And quite a cute one here. In the prologue, Rose is reading the book Misery's Journey, which of course is written by Paul Sheldon, star of the book Misery. So lastly, trying to be as objective as possible, I personally really like this one, and I do really think that the story is good enough for you to give it your time. And what I would say if you're thinking about whether or not to give this book a go is to read the intro and see what you think. For me, that intro is one of the most powerful and hooking that King has ever written in his entire career. It's so arresting and visceral that you just need to know what happens next. And it's testament to King as an author that however many fucking years into his career he is at this point, he can still hook you in a couple of pages. Yes, the story gets a bit crazy after this, but trust me, if that intro does it for you, you will really enjoy this book. So there we go, 19 reasons to read Rose Madder. Do let me know what you think in the comments below, especially if you've read this one. Let me know if you're a fan or if you're not. Now if you enjoyed this, there are plenty more videos on my channel. Do go and subscribe so you don't miss any in the future, and click around, see if there's anything else you fancy watching right here and now. And if you want to come and say hi on Instagram, I'm at Dave Musson. My DMs are always open. Thanks a lot for watching, do take care and come back soon, because next time we're looking at a story that was originally published in 6 parts and is potentially one of the best that King has ever told. See ya! Oh, I can't get it off now.